What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV. So I want to talk about this situation, man. The Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua saga continues with Eddie Hearn out here talking about, Deontay Wilder never made an offer. He not realistic. He said that, he don't really want to fight. He don't want to fight Anthony Joshua. He don't want to fight Tyson Fury. He don't want to fight Joseph Parker. And when they met up, he never made an offer. He never made an offer to Tyson Fury. He never made an offer to Joseph Parker. He never made an offer to us for Anthony Joshua fight. And then Eddie Hearn says that not only did he not make an offer, but he, when we got out there to New York to promote, Matchroom in the States, Matchroom USA, he said that when they came over here to have the debut for that, he said that when they met up with Deontay Wilder, and Deontay Wilder said that he'll have the fight with Dillian Whyte. He never made an offer for a fight with Anthony Joshua, but he said the consolation prize got to be Anthony Joshua. Now, there's where I want to call bullshit. And if people don't understand, when you call him bullshit, when you smell bullshit, if he never made an offer, and hold on, before I touch on that, then he said that Deontay Wilder told Eddie Hearn, this is coming from Eddie Hearn now, Deontay Wilder said that he wanted a 50-50 split. Okay. Did y'all catch the bullshit? Well, if you didn't, your boy Blue Blood about to hit you with the knowledge and about to wake you up about this situation. The bullshit was, he started off by saying Deontay Wilder never made an offer. Did he make an offer or he never made an offer? Which one is it? That lets me know who's bullshitting and who's not. You should be able to pick sense from nonsense. So I'm tired of all these other social media sites, mainly the UK ones. Shout out to my UK subscribers and my UK fans, because I'm not talking about y'all. But I'm talking about the media over there that's spewing the nonsense and backing Eddie Hearn with the bullshit. If you're really neutral, you will call bullshit bullshit. Pardon my language, YouTube. Right? Because here's the thing. If he never made an offer, then how could he price himself out of the fight? In order for me to price myself out of a fight means I had to make an offer. Then he said he never made an offer, but he said he'll fight Dillian Whyte. But the consolation prize got to be him fighting Anthony Joshua. So that sounds like another offer to me. Sounds like he made two offers right there. So Eddie Hearn contradicted himself. And then you get other people or other YouTubers and social media sites and media outlets, boxing media outlets, that go around taking bits and pieces and trying to talk you in circles and tell you that Deontay Wilder don't want to fight. Well, I'm here to tell you otherwise. And let's point out the obvious. If Deontay Wilder never made an offer, then how could he price himself out of a fight? If Deontay Wilder never made an offer, then how could he tell Eddie Hearn, if they never talked about Anthony Joshua, they only talked about Dillian Whyte, Then how could he tell Eddie Hearn that he wanted a 50-50 split? How could he tell Eddie Hearn that he'll fight Dylan White, but he got to... okay, so basically how this conversation... You could pick sense from nonsense. So how this conversation went, he said, listen, I want you to fight Dylan White. So he said, okay, I'll take the Dylan White fight. Since you ain't trying to give me Anthony Joshua next, I'll take the Dylan White fight. And after I dispose of Dylan White, you got to give me Anthony Joshua next. That sounds like an offer. And for all y'all keep saying that he don't sell out in the States, the Barclays always sold out when Deontay Wilder come here and fight. I don't know what you've been told, but the Barclays always sold out. The weigh-ins are sold out. You can't even get in the weigh-in at the Barclays Center when Deontay Wilder is having a weigh-in. And I know that for a fact. I'm at every weigh-in. So I'm at Deontay Wilder's weigh-in. I can get in because I'm a media member. But they turn people around. Let me tell you how much they turn people around. Adrian Granados had a fight on the undercard of Deontay Wilder fight. Do you know it was so many people that Adrian Granados' parents, they wouldn't even let them in at the weigh-in. They wouldn't let Granados' family in at the weigh-in because it was that packed. Now, granted, they ain't come there to see Adrian Granados. Well, there was people. Let me rephrase that. There were definitely people there to see Adrian Granados. But the main event was Deontay Wilder. That's who people wanted to see. So to say that this dude don't sell out is nonsense. The UK is smaller than Brooklyn. Brooklyn, New York, is probably the same size or bigger than the UK. So that's like having a fight in Brooklyn, being from Brooklyn, having a fight in Brooklyn. Of course it'll sell out. Of course it would sell out. Why wouldn't it? So you compare apples to oranges. The States, and that's another thing. Boxing in the States is not the number one sport. Football, and I'm talking about football, not soccer. Football over here is the number one sport in the States. Number two sport is basketball in the States. That's evident. LeBron James have 40 million followers on Twitter. That's basketball. That's number two sport. Number three sport in the States is baseball. Number four sport in the States is where you could argue is boxing or hockey. And some would say it's hockey. So when you compare Deontay Wilder's following and his selling ability, you compare apples to oranges. Because if Anthony Joshua came to the States, his sellout ability would be the same as Deontay Wilder. It would be the same thing. And let's touch on opponents. Anthony Joshua's biggest name opponent is Vladimir Klitschko. Because I hear a lot of that. Deontay Wilder haven't fought anybody. Okay, well, let's get this straight. Let's get one thing straight. He tried to have a fight with Alexander Povetkin. He flew to Russia to have the fight with Povetkin. And Povetkin failed the drug test, so that fight didn't go through. If he had the fight with Alexander Povetkin at the time the fight was supposed to take place, he would have had a bigger name fighter on his resume than anybody Joshua would have had on his resume, because the Klitschko fight didn't take place yet at that time when Povetkin failed the drug test. Okay? Bermane Stiverne is better than anybody Anthony Joshua has on his resume outside of Vladimir Klitschko. So let's not act like Anthony Joshua is fighting a bunch of world beaters, because he's not. Vladimir Klitschko is his claim to fame. There's nobody else on his resume except for, you want to say Dylan White, but Dylan White don't have the resume. It was never a champion like Romain Stavern. And then we have Chris Arreola on Deontay Wilder's resume. Who's on Anthony Joshua's resume that you could say is better than Chris Arreola outside of Vladimir Klitschko? So he don't have a bunch of world beaters on his record. Yes, Deontay Wilder, this is going to be his 40th fight. And Joshua, only his 20th fight. But you want to talk about names on the resume, we got to be honest here. Anthony Joshua don't have a lot of world beaters. Now, he'll have Joseph Parker on his resume, but then guess what? To counter that, Deontay Wilder's going to have Luis Ortiz on his resume. And you could argue that Luis Ortiz is going to be the best fighter on either one of their resumes because of the time frame. Because you're talking about Vladimir Klitschko was past his prime, was 2 years removed out of the sport of boxing, and was coming off of a loss. Luis King Kong Ortiz is undefeated and the boogeyman in the division. Not even Vladimir Klitschko wanted to take that challenge. Not even Anthony Joshua wanted to take that challenge because Eddie Hearn and Matchroom signed Luis Ortiz in the hopes of having Ortiz versus Anthony Joshua. So what happened with that? Because all of a sudden, Luis Ortiz was dropped. He was the mandatory for Anthony Joshua. Now they dropped him. Matchroom dropped him. He was the mandatory not for Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder chose to fight Luis King Kong Ortiz. He wasn't his mandatory. He was Anthony Joshua's mandatory, and Joshua chose not to fight him. So you could argue that if Deontay Wilder knocks out or beats Luis King Kong Ortiz, he got the better fighter on either resume. Because you're talking about Vladimir Klitschko, who was 40 plus years old, who was 2 years removed from his last fight, and coming off his last fight being a loss. And he looked horrible in that loss. Not to take anything away from Tyson Fury, but he looked horrible in that loss. So let's not act like Anthony Joshua got a bunch of world beaters on his record. And he just fought Takam. And that wasn't a good showing. He didn't look good in that fight. And who was Takam? I guarantee you put Takam in the ring with Deontay Wilder smokes him, knocks him out. Fight over. And he won't even get credit for fighting Carlos Takam. So let's be real. When we saying that Deontay Wilder don't have a deep resume. So I want to debunk those two notions that he don't sell, because we know in the States is much different from in the UK. The support is much different. The sport of boxing in the UK and the sport of boxing in the States is much different than over here. Let's be real. Let's be honest. Okay? And then we talk about resumes. Anthony Joshua's claim to fame. And don't get me wrong, I like Anthony Joshua. I just wanted to debunk the notions that Deontay Wilder don't sell. All the hate for Deontay Wilder, acting like Deontay Wilder is the one that don't want to fight. Let's be real. When you're going to talk about it and you're going to report on it, let's be real. So the sport of boxing is probably number 4 or 5 in the States. Over in the UK, the sport of boxing is probably number 2 behind soccer. So to use a selling point, no. Miss me with that one. And when you talk about resumes, Joshua's claim to fame is Vladimir Klitschko, who once again, I'll repeat, who's removed from the sport of boxing for 2 years. Now, he's 40 plus years old, turned down the fight with Deontay Wilder, and was coming off a loss. And looked horrible in that loss. He couldn't pull the trigger against Tyson Fury. He looked old. His reflexes didn't look there. Not to take anything away from Tyson Fury. But he didn't look the same. So let's debunk that notion. So, and then I just debunked the Eddie Hearn notion. That Eddie Hearn contradicted itself. Eddie Hearn said that Deontay Wilder never made an offer, but in the same breath he said that Deontay Wilder said he wanted 50-50, so that's an offer. How could you say he didn't make an offer? In the same breath he said Deontay Wilder never made an offer. In the same breath he said Deontay Wilder told us he'll fight Dylan White if the consolation prize is Anthony Joshua. That's another offer. So I want to debunk those two notions. And let's just get it on, man. Because both fighters, this is a great fight for the heavyweight division. It's a great fight for the sport of boxing. So let's just make it happen. Let's cut all the nonsense out and just make it happen. That's all I got for y'all. Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. And make sure you hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Blue Blood Sports TV. That's all I got for y'all. Make sure y'all hit that like button, man. And make sure y'all subscribe to this channel. That's all I got. Peace.